On this week's episode of the Best of Johnston County podcast, our guest is Josh Jensen, the Executive Director of Johnston County Community and Senior Services. We talked to Josh a little bit about his background in healthcare administration and how he ended up working with seniors. He really enjoys seniors and he found his career moving towards helping seniors stay out of nursing homes, which is what led him to Johnston County. We also talked to him a little bit about all the different things that his programs do, including JCATS, Quick Ride, which is like an Uber for Smithfield and Selma, as well as Meals on Wheels of Johnston County. So if you're interested in helping seniors or how the county can help seniors or how to just get around, even if you're not a senior, listen in.
Welcome to another episode of Best of Johnston County, brought to you by Breeden Law Office. Our host, Jonathan Breeden, an experienced family lawyer with a deep connection to the community, is ready to take you on a journey through the area that he has called home for over 20 years. Whether it's a deep dive into the love locals have for the county or unraveling the complexities of family law, Best of Johnston County presents an authentic slice of this unique community.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Best of Johnston County podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Breeden. And on today's episode, we have Josh Jensen, the Executive Director of Community and Senior Services for Johnston County. Man, I hope I got that title right. If not, he's gonna help get it straight. He's here to talk to us a little bit about what his office does, and it does so much that I had no idea. And when I heard him speak at a State of the Region Chamber of Commerce breakfast in early September of 2025, I was like, I've got to have him come on this podcast. One of the things we're going to talk to him about is the JCATS bus system here in Johnston County. It's the only public transportation that we really have, and he is in charge of that. And that is where a bus will take you to a non-emergency medical appointment if you call and make an appointment. And one secret, you don't have to be poor. It's for anybody who would like a ride to a medical appointment. We're also going to talk to him about his new program, Quick Rides, which is like Uber for Smithfield and Selma, and how he might be trying to expand it into Clayton. And we're also going to talk to him about Meals on Wheels. He's in charge of that as well. So I don't know when he sleeps, but we're going to talk to him a little bit about all the different things he does. He has a $14 million budget, and they do tons and tons and tons for seniors in this community. Before we get to that, I'd like you to like, follow, and subscribe to this podcast wherever you're seeing it, whether it be on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, X, or any of the other social media channels of the Best Johnston County podcast. The Best Johnston County podcast comes out every single Monday and has now for over 2 years. So go back and listen to some of our previous guests. We've had the vast majority of the county commissioners. We've had many local business owners like Realtor Donald O'Meara, financial advisors like Chris Key. We have Woody Bailey talking about computer IT for your office. We've had all types of great guests. So go back and listen to some of them. If you love Johnston County as much as I do, this is the podcast for you. Welcome, Josh.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Did I mess up your title?
It's Community and Senior Services of Johnston County.
All right, Community and Senior Services of Johnston County.
Semantics.
All right, so you're the executive director of that. You've been on that job for 2.5 years. Before we get to that, let's talk about like your biography. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school?
So I was born and raised in southeastern South Dakota.
Okay.
South of Sioux Falls, if anybody's familiar with the Midwest. I grew up in a town of 900 people, but a half hour from a city of 200,000. So we had a little, I can survive in a rural climate and in an urban climate. I'm well adjusted to both.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I went to the University of South Dakota for healthcare administration. So my degree is in hospital administration.
Okay.
And following that, I fell into long-term care. So my first role out of college, I was a nursing home administrator.
Okay.
And following a few years in that, I was promoted up the ranks and became a regional vice president of operations for a for-profit nursing home chain. And then my first child was born, and I got sick of being on a plane all the time. So
I can imagine.
Around 2005, I became the CEO of a not-for-profit senior campus that had a nursing home, Alzheimer's unit, assisted living, home health, Meals on Wheels. We did everything on a 30-acre campus.
Okay.
And I was there for 13 years.
Okay.
And by that role, when you're doing everything in the community and everything inside of a nursing home, you get conflicted sometimes because you have nursing home staff wanting to build occupancy, and I had my home health staff wanting to keep people out, and it was always, a little bit of a battle. And I had a recruiter reach out to me about an opportunity in Florida, and that was keeping people out of nursing homes, and I started to feel myself gravitating towards that previously anyway.
Okay.
So my family and I, we moved to Brevard County, Florida, near Cocoa Beach, and I ran the organization that provided or coordinated all of the services to keep people out of nursing homes. So Meals on Wheels, home health, home improvement, transportation, all those types of things. And I was there almost 6 years, and we decided we wanted to be closer to family, but didn't want to go back to Midwest winter.
It's cold in the Midwest in the winter.
Yes.
Very cold, especially in South or North Dakota.
And my wife has family in Durham. And when this opportunity came up, I was like, this may work. And so instead of being 9 hours away from my wife's family, we're an hour now. And we're really enjoying it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you came to Johnston County to take over this position, I think 2.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So early in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
What did they tell you the job was, and what did you find out the job was when you got here? Because there's always two sides of that.
Well, the community and senior service side of what I do is almost identical to what I was doing in Florida. And that's, I think, where the connection was made between myself and the board of directors, because I know that. They did not let on to me how big of a role I was going to be in JCATS, the Johnston County Area Transit System. And right now it's probably taking 60 to 65% of my time is focusing on JCATS. But fortunately, I have an incredible team. So the CSS side there, that allows me to focus on the changes going on with JCATS.
Okay, so who do you work for? Because you don't work for the county.
No.
I thought you worked for the county and answered to Rick Hester, but you do not.
I do not.
Who do you work for?
I answer to Rick Hester, but I do not work for him.
Okay, all right. So Rick Hester is the Johnston County manager, for anybody knowing. I thought really it was another county department, but it is not really.
No, it's not.
Okay.
We are not-for-profit 501c3, and I report to a volunteer board of directors.
Oh, okay. And what is that not-for-profit called?
Community and Senior Services.
Okay, all right.
And what the other things we do are, so for example, we consider JCATS a division of Community and Senior Services.
Okay.
We have other divisions, and we actually have multiple corporations because we also operate 140 units of HUD senior apartments around the county as well.
Okay. So now is this not-for-profit just Johnston County? Is it a regional one?
It is just Johnston County.
Okay.
Johnston County residents are on the board. The only caveat to that is, for some unknown reason, we manage 30 units of senior housing in Cary.
Okay.
And nobody can tell me how we got a hold of those, but
Okay, so you manage 30 senior housing units in Cary.
Everything else is Johnston County.
Everything's in Johnston County. So how is your board selected?
There's an application process. People can apply on the board of directors, review the application, make sure that they're a good fit for our mission and vision, and not just that, but also demographically and geographically, because we want representation of the whole county.
Okay.
And we make the decision. Like, we don't want 10 people from Clayton, one from Smithfield, none from Princeton.
Right.
We want a good mix of board members.
Okay. So your budget is $14 million.
Between all of our programs around that.
Okay. And JCATS is just one of it.
JCATS is about half.
JCATS is about half. Okay. All right. Let's start with JCATS.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? How can it help people?
So JCAT's primary purpose is non-medical transportation for anybody. We do a lot of dialysis trips each and every morning, Monday through Saturday. But it's mostly for people that aren't able to drive to get to those types of appointments. There are some other programs where we can bring people to go get their pharmacy and different things. There were some changes in Medicaid managed care around a year ago that allow them to pay for services like to go to the pharmacy and just to do those other different things that'll be covered under their health plan, just to make it more usable for the patient.
Okay. So now, in JCATS, is it free? Do you have to pay?
There's a number of different programs that can cover, a lot of times cover the fare. If they don't fall into one of those, it's a $6 It's a $6 fare if they don't fit into one of the plans.
Okay. So $6 each way, $12 round trip.
Yes.
Okay. But what are some of the things? Most of the trips are paid for not by the person, they're paid for by one of these other entities. What are some of the things that qualify to get a free ride from JCATS?
Well, if you're over the age of 60, you can get free medical transportation through several different programs.
Okay.
There are also some state programs that will allow us to cover those medical trips if they're under the age of 60.
Okay.
Most of them, the other ones, there's some work-related trips. So we actually have different routes. So we have one bus particular, for example, I think I brought it up at the breakfast the other day. We have a bus that goes around that picks up people for a variety of reasons. Some are going to work, some are going to medical appointments, some are, they're going just different reasons, and it's almost a ride share on our buses.
Okay.
And we have the technology to be able to sort out who needs to pay what, and it's a good service for those who can't drive.
Right. Well, and the thing you pointed out at the breakfast that got me was it's open to everybody. It's open to all. Even if I don't qualify for any of the financial help, if I'm willing to pay $12, you will come pick me up. Now, does the appointment have to be in Johnston County?
No.
Or will you drive me to Raleigh?
We go to 6 other counties.
Okay.
We do trips to the VA in Durham, to Chapel Hill, to UNC, to around different hospitals, but the trip has to originate in Johnston County.
Okay. I didn't know that. Well, we got the new VA in Garner. Is it open yet?
I don't believe so.
Okay. All right. Well, it's going to open. By the time this broadcast runs, it might be open. So that'll be good. Maybe we'll be able to, it's a lot closer than those other VAs. So maybe some of the Johnston residents will start going to the new VA hospital or VA outpatient clinic. I don't guess it's really a hospital on Highway 50 in Garner, right before you get to Timber Drive. It's a beautiful facility being built there. And anyway, so hopefully it'll be open here real soon. So all right. So the appointment doesn't have to be in, you can take them to Durham or Chapel Hill or Raleigh. The trip just has to originate in Johnston County. Okay. How do I request a ride?
You call into our scheduler, and she'll see if what buses are going where, what day, and how we can fit you in. And it is public transportation, so it's not door-to-door concierge service. You may be picked up at 6 a.m. for an appointment at 9:30, and then maybe not get picked up again till 1. It's public transportation. You have to take the good with the bad, and sometimes some people have some long days if they're going, say, to Chapel Hill, because those buses are running to the different clinics and outpatient things around up and down I-40, and sometimes there's a wait before and after.
Okay. All right. I mean, it makes sense. I didn't really think about it that way, but it does make sense because you're trying to maximize the ridership on every single bus that you have going out there.
We wouldn't be in business if we were taking one person to Chapel Hill at a time. It's just
too far.
And for a 25-foot bus that gets about 8 miles to the gallon, that's not a winning proposal.
I got you. So how many trips did JCATS do last year?
Last year we did just under 125,000 trips.
Okay.
That's up from 99,000 in 2023.
Right.
2022, 2023.
That's a big jump.
And we've seen it in the growth and the demand in our buses. For the first time that I can remember, and my predecessor can remember, if you go to JCATS at 8 a.m, there are no buses. Usually there's one or two. We usually had the capacity to have a couple extra buses just in case, and we don't right now. If a bus breaks down, we're scrambling.
Man. All right. So the majority of your funding comes from the federal government. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And what part of the federal government is it under? Is it under
the FTA, Federal Transportation Administration?
Okay.
Provides 80% of our funding.
Okay.
The rest of it it depends on the program. Sometimes it's 10%, sometimes it's 50% state, and then sometimes it's 5% or 10% local match is required with the grants.
Okay. Right. And I know the county commissioners give you about $1 million a year. Mm-hmm. And before I met you, I thought the county commissioners paid for almost all of what you do. Mm-hmm. So I've learned that. I really didn't realize it was largely federal funding that covers this, which I think is great. I mean, I think these people need to go. And if if you're listening to this and you have a relative at your house and you're at work and they need to go to the doctor during the day, you can call JCATS and they will come and pick up your mother, your aunt, your uncle, and they'll take them so you can stay at work. I mean, I think it's tremendous service that's provided, and I don't think there's a lot of awareness, which is one of the reasons I wanted to have Josh come on here. Now, you started this thing I didn't know about until last week called Quick Rides. What is that, and how is it a part of JCATS?
So it is a part of JCATS. What it does, it's the public transportation's version of Uber. I think I shared that at the breakfast. We have an app. It's on demand. Usually we can come get you within 20 minutes if you're within the Smithfield-Selma zone. But what it does, when you're running in public transport, if you're running a bus route and say it's going up and down 301 in Smithfield, there's no houses on 301 in Smithfield. So people are walking, could maybe walk 3, 4, 5 blocks and then wait for a bus. This is much more flexible. It's door to door, and it's much more cost effective than it is to actually run a giant bus and not knowing what the fares and ridership are going to be. You know what you're getting.
Okay. Are these done in individual cars like Uber?
We have handicap accessible vans. All of our vehicles are ADA accessible.
Okay.
And they're 7 passenger.
Okay. And so you take me from point A to point B, and it doesn't have to be medical on Quick Rides.
No.
You can take me to my friend's house.
Yes.
Okay, as long as I'm in the Smithfield-Selma zone.
Yes, that is correct.
All right, and it's also $6 one way?
$6 one way, whether you have 1 person or 5 people, it's $6. Okay.
And where does the funding from that come from? Is it the same as the sort of the federal funding for the medical transport?
No. In rural counties, which Johnston mostly is, there really isn't a funding stream for it.
Okay.
So the budget for Quick Ride consists of fares and then county support because the county commissioners have seen the value in the program.
All right. And you're thinking about, you mentioned at the breakfast, expanding Quick Rides into Clayton and Flowers. Mm-hmm. When would that take place and what would that look like?
So there's several different things that go into making that a reality. The first one is hopefully going to be resolved in the near future. Clayton and Flowers are now considered urban by the federal government. They're a small urban area. So that does qualify for federal funding, unlike Smithfield and Selma. So we are working with the federal government and the state to be able to find ways to draw down those funds. The funds have been awarded. We just haven't been able to draw them down yet.
Okay.
The second piece of it is I need vehicles. And I have been awarded 10 expansion vehicles. And you get public transit in North Carolina, you get, based on a formula and your size, 3 to 5, 7 replacement vehicles every year based on the age of the bus, the miles, and those types of things. Expansion is a whole different process. And fortunately, at the state level, they realized the growth in Johnston and have awarded us 5 expansion vehicles for buses for this coming year. And I successfully wrote a grant for 5 electric vans.
Oh man, that's great. So you're going to get 10 new vehicles.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the other part of it, the supply chain issues. I have replacement buses that I ordered last January that I haven't received yet.
Oh, okay. So that's 8 months or 18 months. We're recording this at the end of September 2025.
So it's been about 9 months since I ordered
9 months since you ordered them. Okay. All right. So when do you think you might get them?
They keep putting it off. I don't know.
Okay. I got you.
So, and I have ordered the vehicles for the expansion vehicles, but it's not up to me when they come. and unfortunately, and when you look at some of our vans, the chassis is identical to Amazon's. So we're fighting with Amazon over chassis.
Oh, I never thought about that. So anyway, well, hopefully you'll get those vehicles here maybe by the end of the year.
Have family law questions? Need guidance to navigate legal challenges? The compassionate team at Breeden Law Office is here to help. Visit us at www.breedenfirm.com for practical advice, resources, or to book a consultation. Remember, when life gets messy, you don't have to face it alone.
So, all right, so we have JCATS for the non-emergency medical transport. We have Quick Rides at Smithfield and Selma, which is like Uber or Lyft for taking from point A to point B, $6 each way. You also oversee Meals on Wheels. Let's talk about that. What is Meals on Wheels? Who qualifies? How do you go about doing that?
So the community and senior services side of what we do, We are the provider that helps coordinate all the home and community-based programs in Johnston County. So Meals on Wheels is one of them. We do home health. We have congregate dining sites around. So the definition for Meals on Wheels is you have to be over the age of 60 and homebound. You cannot drive yourself to get somewhere, and then you qualify for a meal. The congregate dining, and we have 5 sites for congregate dining. They're the same criteria, except they have the ability to get to the dining site. And that's more about socialization and just in trying to avoid isolation and keeping people active.
Okay.
We also have a home improvement program. So we'll do wheelchair ramps, grab bars, and home modifications to make sure that people can stay in their homes versus having to go to an assisted living or a nursing home. We have senior centers that we operate and have different programming in Clayton, Smithfield, and Selma, and Benson, that we provide daily programming for people, just again to avoid isolation and help with their socialization.
Well, I'm definitely familiar with the senior centers, particularly the one in Clayton. They do a ton of great things there for sure. So where do you cook the food for the Meals on Wheels?
So we contract with, it used to be Meals on Wheels of Wake County, and they have their own kitchen, and they split into 2 entities. So what's formerly the Meals on Wheels Wake County kitchen is now called Food Runners, and we contract with them to get the food out. So every morning they truck the food in containers that just keep it hot and cold, and they bring it out to the different distribution sites, when then the Meals on Wheels drivers come distribute the meals each day and come back, and we do it again tomorrow.
So how many meals do you distribute each day in Johnston County?
I had JCATS on my brain.
Okay.
What did we?
Could be an approximate number. It doesn't have to be exact.
I'm just trying to do that. We do about 100 a day.
100 a day. Okay.
Because we have about 300. We have about 300 clients.
Okay. And they get a meal every day, every other day?
Monday through Friday, they get meals. Unfortunately, Johnston County is so big, we cannot get to everybody and make sure that the temperature on the food is in the proper temp when we.
Okay.
So those people, they get the same meals, but they're frozen, and they get a week's supply at a time.
Oh, okay.
Because we don't want anybody to go without a meal, but with the rules and regulations when it comes to food temperatures, food safety, foodborne illnesses, there's limits to how far we can get out in the county.
Okay. So where are the congregate dining sites?
We have congregate dining sites at all of our senior centers.
Okay.
Which Selma, Smithfield, Benson, Clayton. And then we also have one in Kenley.
Okay. Do you serve a meal there every day?
Yes. They are the same meals that go out to the Meals on Wheels clients.
Okay. And so you serve those 5 days a week?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's really good. That's really good. Well, it's great for them to, I mean, you're right about the isolation, right? They get to see each other, tell stories, show pictures of grandkids. I think they play games. I know with the Clayton one, I've known them to play bingo and card games and that kind of stuff. They're always looking for volunteers, right, at these community centers. If somebody wanted to volunteer, who would they contact?
You call Sarah at our main office in Smithfield.
Okay. Because, I mean, they always need more volunteers. I've done some of that over the years. It's a ton of fun.
We do have a waiting list right now for Meals on Wheels, and part of it is funding. Part of it is just a lack of drivers in some areas.
Okay. And then the drivers are volunteers.
Yes, that's correct.
I've done that before. The problem was, as I was telling you before we started recording, I would get off of my route because I'd start talking and then I was going to be late. And I know anybody that knows me is like, I cannot believe Jonathan Breeden got to talking to where he wasn't able to he was trying to get his other meals delivered because I was having too much fun talking to people and meeting people. And I recognized I was the only person they might even see that day, but I also realized that the supervisor was like, you got to get the meals to the people because there got to be a certain temperature and all that stuff. So anyway, I may not have been the best volunteer, but I did really enjoy it.
Well, if I had $1 for everybody that's told me that story, it's really fulfilling to do a Meals on Wheels route. And the other important part of it is, the isolation, but we work closely with EMS and law enforcement too, because it's also a wellness check on that person. And we have had instances where people knock on the door, nobody answers, and something's happened. So, it's an important service in a lot of different ways.
Right. That's true. That's true. So I'm almost afraid to ask, what else is under CCS? I mean, we've done Meals on Wheels, we've done Quick Rides, we've done JCATS. Is there anything else you're responsible for?
So we have about 140 senior apartments I manage through HUD, the Housing Urban Development. We have apartments in Smithfield. We have apartments in two places in Clayton, Princeton, Kinley, and Cary.
So are these like Section 8 income stated apartments? You have to have a bit over a certain income,
right?
That kind of stuff. Okay, I got you. And so does that mean you own them? You have property managers? You lease them? What does that exactly mean?
Through the federal government's eyes, we're the property managers until 40 years as it passed on since the initial build of the building, and then we become the owners of the property.
Okay, I got you. So, and then you have to be a certain age to live in these. How old do you have to be?
60.
You have to be 60. Okay, and there's an income level. You have to be
sliding scale.
Okay,
but it's sliding scale, and it's X amount above the poverty line is what you qualify for, and then your rent goes up or down depending on where you land.
Okay,
and it's income based, not asset based. So you can have, a savings account, but if you're drawing very little interest off of that, that's really not going to count against you.
Okay. All right. So some people pay some nominal amount and some people don't pay anything at all.
Correct.
Okay. And I know there's rules that you have to stay there. Like you're not supposed to have adult children living there. Being a family lawyer, I've run into this many times where you have adult children staying in these homes where they're not supposed to be. And often if you're going to have trouble, it's from the adult children and their kids, not from the actual resident.
Right.
So what do y'all do to make sure that these places are safe?
Well, we have security cameras through all the properties, and we have people that live on site, but they also act as kind of also a manager to make sure things are in line. And if there's a light bulb, they can change that and those types of things. And then our property manager does frequent visits, and maintenance guys are there almost every other day at one of the properties.
Okay.
Just to keep an eye on things.
So you know what's going on. I mean, if you got a problem, somebody's going to come tell you or your property managers about it. And that's going to be important. Do you have a lot of incidents?
It's nothing
serious. Okay. Well, that's good.
Incidents pop just like any
apartment. Right. Any apartment complex got incidents.
We've had some crazy things happen, but for the most part, it's pretty quiet. Just neighbors not liking each other, those types of things.
Well, that could happen sometimes too.
I won't say which town, but when I first started here, we had a tenant pull a sword on another tenant.
Oh, a sword.
That was the extreme one since I've been there. But usually it's just bickering or you took my parking spot kind of stuff.
Okay, I got you. Well, that's cool. Well, that's great. Is there anything else the public that listens to the podcast needs to know about CSS and all the things y'all do?
We'd like to be less of a secret. I don't think a lot of people know what we do. I had a lady reach out to me about renting one of our buses because she saw it and didn't know what it was and just called to ask she could borrow it. And then, no, that's not how this works.
She can't borrow the bus.
And it's also when the stigma a little bit on our larger buses, not Quick Ride. We branded Quick Ride differently to make sure it stood out and didn't have the stigmas of the previous buses where it's just only old people ride those.
Right.
And that's really not the case. And we work with Johnston County Industries to bring some of their people onto their campus. I had a meeting a couple of weeks ago with Johnston Community College about looking at a partnership to get those challenged students that don't have transportation, try to get them onto campus.
Right.
And I actually have a meeting next week with Amazon. Right now we take through Quick Ride, we bring 7 or 8 of their staff to work every morning and then back after their shift. And after the breakfast, actually, the general manager of the plant came up to me and said, I have at least 25 people that struggle to get here that aren't in your Quick Ride zone. What can we do?
Oh, that's great. Well, I mean, look, and I got to give it to you. I mean, Josh, you've done more in just a couple of years to promote what's going on that had been promoted before. You come on this podcast, you spoke to 300 people at a breakfast, like you're doing your part. And that's part of the reason I'm doing this podcast. I mean, you're doing that. Like, really, I think people need to know about it. I've worked with JCATS over the years. I've been a family lawyer in Johnston County for 25 years. I've had all different types of clients that need to get places, young people, old places, older people and stuff. So I was very familiar with it. I've just learned about Quick Rides. I've done Meals on Wheels, but I didn't realize it was under your program. I just volunteered and helped. You know what I mean? I didn't know. I went here. I took meals around. I didn't understand where the meals came from. I just was riding around talking to people. So, I mean, I appreciate you coming out and talking to us and speaking to the breakfast, and you'll go speak to any church or community group or somebody on your staff will if they reach out, right? If you want to know how to be involved, how to volunteer, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, it's easy. We can reach out through our website, which is johnstoncounty.org or cssjohnston.org, excuse me. And our direct line in Smithfield is 919-934-6066. There's a lot of stuff that we do in the community, and as this county continues to become more urban, there's going to be a lot of new things coming down the pipe.
Well, and you're absolutely right, and I appreciate what you're saying about Johnston Community College. I was on the board of Johnston Community College from 2015 to 2019, and we had these same issues with students being able to get to class and from class then that they have now. I don't think people realize that. I think you spoke at the breakfast. You said 18% of the households in Johnston County have no vehicle or only one vehicle.
That's correct.
I don't think a lot of people realize that as well. And that's a lot of a county of, 275,000 people. It's a lot of households that have problems with transportation, and they include, community college students. And I remember we had a fund through the Johnston Community College Foundation where we could help if they were getting near graduation and their car broke down or something like that. We could help get the car fixed so that they could get finished coming so they could graduate. Right. We also started a food bank while I was on the board of Johnston Community College, which I think they still have. So these are all things. I think people lose track, right? You live out here in Cleveland like me. You go to Raleigh every day. I think people can lose track of some of the poverty that we do have in this county and some of the ways that our citizens are challenged, just like any other citizens. And so you're doing a lot to help seniors and anybody through your program, and we're very appreciative of that and all the work you and your team are doing. The last question we ask everybody on this podcast: you've been here 2.5 years. What do you love most about Johnston County?
So far, it's the people. As a kind of an outsider, you never know how you're going to be received, especially when you're kind of in a public-facing position like I am. And the community has been so welcoming to my wife and my family. We're very appreciative of it.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, we'd like to thank Josh Jensen, who's Executive Director of Community Services, Senior and Community Services. I'm going to get that wrong every time, for being our guest on this week's episode of the Best of Johnston County podcast. As we mentioned earlier, feel free to like, follow, subscribe to this podcast wherever you're seeing it, so you'll be made aware of future episodes of the Best of Johnston County. It would also be great if you give us a 5-star review down below so that we'll know what you like or maybe dislike about the Best of Johnston County podcast. And if you'd be so kind as to share the social media clips that you see and tag us in your Instagram stories, Best of Johnston County, that will help more people learn about this podcast and learn why you love Johnston County as much as we love Johnston County. And that's why we bring this podcast to you every week. Until next time, I'm your host, Jonathan Breeden.
That's the end of today's episode of Best of Johnston County, a show brought to you by the trusted team at Breeden Law Office. We thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to sharing more interesting facets of this community next week. Every story, every viewpoint adds another thread to the rich tapestry of Johnston County. If the legal aspects highlighted raise some questions, help is just around the corner at www.breedenfirm.com.